remember clearly when my 3rd grade teacher told me, "Sit down, sit still." I remember hearing, "Focus, pay attention." I remember her saying, "Up, speak when called upon." Now you see, I remember hearing, but not acting on these frequent reminders. These instructions were not beneficial to anyone, and I have found out why. Now don't get me wrong, schools are amazing institutions. Parents trust these systems to transform their young ones into mature citizens. Society expects these factories to perform like well-oiled machines that process the raw material into finished goods. Keep in mind that in this case, the raw material is the most precious commodity, the future of society, aka us kids. Humans are supported by 3 pillars: the body, the brain, and of course, the mind. I'm pretty sure you all understand what the physical body is, so let's carefully distinguish the mind from the brain. The brain collects, sorts, and holds information, so it's really a data processor. On the other hand, the mind is where we originate feelings and emotions, so the brain is objective while the mind is subjective. The mind is the element of a person that enables him or her to be aware of the world around them. Now, each pillar is just as important as the others. The reason why I'm addressing the mind is because most schools are primarily focused on either the brain or the body. The body is subjected to routines of physical education, recess, food breaks, and sports, while the brain is continually soaked with information and knowledge. But schools don't mind the mind. The current education system does not really look at the mind. I'm not sure if anyone is in charge of regularly checking in on how a student is feeling on a motivation and positivity level. There's no discipline or regular routine at schools to ensure the mind is healthy and developing. Let me explain. Cars. No matter how good looking or high performing a car is, we all understand that a trained operator is extremely important in the driving seat of a car. The vehicle refers to the body and the brain, which is the hardware to take you places. But the driver is the mind, who is really in charge. For some reason, the current education system seems light on developing the driver and obsessed with developing the vehicle. How can you not expect accidents? This focus on hardware with a blind spot on software is an imbalanced approach. I suggest it is generally inefficient and potentially ineffective. Now, if the body is overlooked, it may become weak. And when the brain is disregarded, it stays uninformed. However, you must be wondering, what are the consequences of not attending to the mind? Well, a healthy mind is motivated, under control, and very productive. On the contrary, unhealthy minds may be suffering from a variety of conditions, such as pessimism, anxiety, sadness, and stress. Oscar-winning actress and founder of Mind Up, Goldie Hawn, said at a TED-Med, "Stress blocks the brain from learning," and it literally does so. When you're stressed at school, then it becomes really bad because you're not learning anything, and that brings up even more stress. Eventually, it becomes impossible to hold the stress inside. Unresolved stress often multiplies itself. Things get worse. A student suppressing stress can be easily triggered by something as trivial as a haircut. And when this anger is directed towards a fellow peer, it can easily escalate into a fight. Did you know that 28% of high school students and middle school students were involved in a physical fight? And again, this may be caused by stress that is bottled up inside. According to Dr. Maurice J. Ellis of Rutgers University, there is a missing piece to America's education agenda, and children will continue to be left behind until that piece is addressed. Children are not being systematically prepared for their complex roles as citizens in our democracy. And there's a growing body of evidence that suggests there's a big gap in our education agenda. Anna Leach from The Guardian reports that there was once a time when Visitation Valley Middle School in San Francisco could have featured U.S. gritty crime drama. Surrounded by drugs and gang violence, the students were stressed and agitated. They one day came to find 3 dead bodies dumped in the schoolyard. According to Barry O'Driscoll, the school's head of physical education, the lives of students were infected by violence in the community, and several fights would break out every day. Quiet Time, a meditation program, was brought in to meet the challenge. In the first year, suspensions were reduced by 45%. In the second and third year, the attendance rate jumped up to 98%, highest in the city. 20% of students were accepted into selective high schools, as compared to a rare occurrence. Dear educators, please teach the whole of us, not just the select parts that by themselves are being maxed out. Our bodies are not running significantly faster than they did years ago. Our brains are saturated with information that we may never need. You know, everyone in my class can identify the dinosaurs of the Jurassic era and name the planets of our solar system in precise order. We recognize the T-Rex and know whereabouts of Saturn. Information with no immediate use. Now, don't get me wrong, I love science and history. I'm just not okay when the training of the mind is ignored. Because when minds are unhealthy issues surface at school, addiction, depression, bullying, or tragically even shootings. But there are reasons why people don't treat the mind. Some people don't know. Some people don't care. Some are embarrassed. Others want their kids to be smart and or athletic, but not necessarily caring or kind. So far, I've been talking about the problem, but there are solutions. Schools have become aware of something called a social emotional learning. This program is relatively new, but offers exactly what is needed. This program combines neuroscience, positive psychology, and mindful awareness. Another solution, one of the meditation techniques I use, is called Anapana. In this technique, the goal is to empty your mind and organize it so you can stay calm and fresh. You accomplish this by sitting down, closing your eyes, taking a deep breath in, and letting it out. All the while, I try to focus on my breath. I try to notice things like which nostril is more free or how the breath barely touches the tip of my nose. And I find it really helps. It makes me calm. It's pretty relaxing, and it doesn't even take too much time. And I am not the only one who's had very good outcomes with these solutions. Schools such as the Brown School in New York State, the Washoe School in California, the Conwell School in Massachusetts, they've all had very good outcomes. They've noticed things like less suspensions, reduced bullying, better self-control, and fewer fights. Imagine if we could convince all of our children to go forth by breathing in and breathing out, rather than to sit down and sit still. Thank you.